In gatherings around America, Christian evangelicals meet to worship. Many are known as Christian Zionists, who interpret the Bible in a unique way.
Christian Zionism, or as it's also called, dispensationalism, believes that the Jewish people from throughout the world must all return to the Holy Land. And the state of Israel must conquer all of the land between the Nile River in Egypt and the Euphrates River in Iraq. The Levitical practices of animal sacrifice. For 3.5 years they will worship the Antichrist. Jesus Christ will return and lead an army of hundreds of thousands and kill off all of the Jews with the exception of 144,000, and kill off all of the Jews with the exception of 144,000 who will promptly convert to Christianity.
Schofield created, C.I. Schofield created this outline which was laid over the biblical text with commentary and divided the Bible up. And this became the greatest advocacy piece, the Schofield Bible, which fundamentalists and evangelical Christians read, and that's what I grew up with. So I grew up thinking, well, this is what the Bible teaches.
It is the most prominent Christian Zionist organization in the United States. John Hagee and the Christians United for Israel has an enormous amount of political clout, as we so see. Joseph Lieberman likened John Hagee to Moses. At the recent Christians United for Israel, or CUFI conference in Washington, D.C., a panoply of Republican and Democratic politicians praised the work of Hagee and CUFI, and even George Bush.
Some of which is diverted to illegal Israeli settlements. So he has, I think, been, kind of courted by some of these right-wing pro-Israel Christians and the pro-Israel Jewish lobby, AIPAC, to be the spokesperson and the founder of this new movement, Christians United for Israel.
First, Christian Zionists believe that Christians have a primary obligation above all else to support the policies of the State of Israel, to support its occupation of Palestinian land, to support it as a ethnically pure racist state which discriminates against the large minority of Arab Israeli citizens, much as Mississippi discriminated against black people under Jim Crow. It also supports the expansionist policies of Israel as a military state. And there is virtually nothing that Israel can do that the Christian Zionists are not willing to support. In fact, they are more Zionist than the Zionists. Pat Robertson, probably one of the most prominent televangelists and a Christian Zionist, actually suggested the General and the later Prime Minister, Ariel Sharon, was stricken with a terminal coma because he defied God by evacuating a number of Jewish settlements from Gaza. So the first element in Christian Zionism, and what gives it the name Christian Zionism, is its unqualified support for Israel.
Which they get from the pro-Israel Jewish lobby, AIPAC. So if they want a war in Iran, then they're going to mobilize Christians.
It is time for America to consider a military preemptive strike against Iran to prevent a nuclear holocaust in Israel and a nuclear attack in America.
So, and they're also organizing regionally, and then they have their national convention. So it's a growing and a powerful movement.
Virtually every major televangelist on Trinity Broadcasting Network or other media is a Christian Zionist and buys into this ideology. It is a billion-dollar industry. The total audience viewer audience, reading audience of media controlled by Christian Zionists is estimated to be larger than the total readership of Time, Newsweek, the Los Angeles Times, the Washington Post, and the New York Times combined.
The greatest potential of pro-Israel voters will be among fundamentalist Christians.
Despite the large number of people who believe in the rapture, some 39% of Americans, for instance, believe that when the Bible refers to the end of the earth occurring through fire, this means nuclear war, and some 70 million people believe in the rapture, Americans, to come onto the scene and apply those prophecies to current day events and the eventual and imminent end of the world. Jews were to take an earthly path, and the Christians were to take a heavenly path. And Jews were never to be allowed to go to heaven. Obviously, the Zionist establishment in the United States is perfectly aware of the anti-Semitic content of Christian Zionist ideology. But going back as far as the late 1970s, when the State of Israel reportedly gave Jerry Falwell his personal Lear jet, the Zionist establishment has realized the value of Christian Zionism despite the essential anti-Semitism of its ideology. To Jewish Zionists, the Christian Zionists are useful idiots. For the end-timer Christian Zionists, the Jews are sacrificial lambs.
23% der Wähler aus. Deshalb darf ein Besuch in den riesigen Kirchen der Evangelikalen, den 1200 Megachurches, in denen mehrere tausend Gläubige Platz finden, bei keiner Wahlkampagne fehlen. Die Lakewood Church im texanischen Houston besuchen jeden Sonntag mehr als 10.000 Menschen. Die evangelikalen Christen haben aber auch Einfluss auf die amerikanische Außenpolitik. So hat zum Beispiel Israel eine ganz besondere Bedeutung für sie. Das hat mehrere Gründe. Zum einen ähnelt der Mythos vom auserwählten Volk dem Stellenwert, den sie ihrem eigenen Land beimessen. Denn Amerika ist für sie das neue Jerusalem. Zum anderen glauben sie, dass sich die erneute Offenbarung Jesu in Jerusalem abspielen wird. Und zwar nach dem endzeitlichen Kampf zwischen den Mächten des Guten und den Mächten des Bösen, an dem Ort, der auf Hebräisch Hermageddon heißt. Die Existenz Israels ist für sie ein schlagender Beweis für die Existenz Gottes. Und für sie sind Juden potenzielle Christen. Sich dem Staat Israel zu widersetzen, ist für die amerikanischen Evangelikalen, als widersetzte man sich dem Willen Gottes. Deshalb sprechen sich die meisten von ihnen gegen einen Rückzug Israels aus den besetzten Gebieten aus, da diese innerhalb der biblischen Grenzen Israels liegen. Und deshalb fordern sie von der Regierung in Washington mit Erfolg die bedingungslose Unterstützung der Regierung in Tel Aviv. In der Welt der Evangelikalen herrscht eine babylonische Vielfalt und es gibt tausende Bezeichnungen. Baptisten, Pfingstbewegung, Assembly of God und so weiter.